What's up, metalheads? Welcome to the Metal Block episode 2. I got Darkness, My Desire. Yes, we're going to talk to them right after this. Welcome, headbangers, to the Metal Block. Here is your host, Eric. Yeah, what's up, everyone? What's up, you guys?
What up?
What's up? Check it out. It's the hollow notes of black metal here. The dynamic duel, man. Okay. You guys even know who Hollow Notes is? That's probably way before your time.
Of course we know.
Yeah.
Come on, man eater.
Get him up there in Canada. Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot about this guy. So you already got your fans in the studio, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all chopping up. Yeah, so I got who do we got here? We got Nico. I was known as Ghul. What do you do? You're the vocals?
I am vocalist, yes, sir.
Vocalist. And we got Chris, also known as Demon. And you do the what, guitars?
Yeah, I do everything. So
Okay.
I program the drums, with his help, and I track basses on the album. I track all the guitars on the album. He helps write a lot of the riffs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I noticed your drums sound really good. I was gonna say who's your drummer? But obviously you guys are just
our drummer's name is either Fred or Roland.
Yeah, right.
On what setup we use.
Right.
Yeah, the drummers I use I just name them YouTube because that's where I get them.
Yeah.
Okay. I find guys on there like, hey, that's a cool beat. Can I buy that beat off you? Okay, $25. I don't know how to program drums, but yeah, I remember asking Nico that because I thought Nico was a drummer a long time ago.
Yeah, that was funny.
And I was like, yeah, you play drums.
Yeah.
How do we meet, Nico? All the way on Facebook. We've known each other for a number of years.
Time. We met through an old friend of mine who I'm no longer friends with, unfortunately.
Yeah. Who I think was a friend of my girlfriend, Blue, and who lives up there in Alberta, where you guys are from.
Yeah, and I know your girlfriend there too. So
yeah, we all became mutual friends, and welcome to the Canada family back in 2007 when I met her. I've only been up there once, But you go. So what city are you guys from up there? Up there.
We're from Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary.
Calgary. Okay. Yeah, and so what's the metal scene there like? As far as black metal, does it have a good black metal scene? Or you guys...
black metal scene? We don't have a huge black metal scene. There's a few bands that have come from here. Some of them aren't together anymore. The biggest one I would say is probably Numenorian.
Okay.
They were a big atmospheric black metal band from here.
Okay.
We were good friends with a band called Vile Insignia. Who I don't know if they're still playing together, but we're still in contact with some of them. But I will give a shout out to King's Rot.
Okay.
They're huge right now. They just got signed and put out an album. So there's a few little bands here and there, but not a huge black metal scene.
No.
Yeah.
More from Edmonton, which is a little bit north of us, has more like the black metal.
Which makes sense because they're further north from us.
Yeah, they're cool.
I'm gonna have to check out King's Rot is what they're called. I think I've heard that name.
Yeah, King's Rot. Yeah, please, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah. Give them a shout out and come on, get on the show, guys.
Reach out to them. I'm sure they would do it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And so how would you describe the overall sound of Darkness, My Desire? What are your influences? Are you drawn from bands that you've always liked, or is just stuff in life like your lyrical contact? Is it just what is it all kind of influence from?
Lyric wise, for myself, it's I've been in other bands before. My old band was Just Stay Fucking Dead, which was more of a death metal band.
Okay.
But I've always kind of strayed away from the religious topics or the satanic. I didn't want to get pigeonholed into that.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older and just came into myself and been able to just express myself a lot better, I thought it was important to just speak my truth, really. Being a Satanist, we're few and far between, but it's an important message in my life. It's part of our daily lives. So
yeah. And when you say Satanist, are you there's always the Levian Satanist, and then there's the Satanic Temple, which are more of the atheists, I guess you could say, in the sense.
It's something I've been since early teenagehood. I'm part of the Church of Satan, so that would be Levian Satanism.
Yeah.
do I completely follow that doctrine? No, I would consider myself more of like a spiritual Satanist because I still believe in things that are, unexplained or that kind of stuff.
Would you say more like agnostic as opposed to atheist in a sense?
Exactly.
That's kind of how I see myself too, like more agnostic, like just question everything, and because the universe is so huge, and who knows what's out there, and
right.
Plus, I like to keep Jesus in my back pocket just in case shit hits the fan.
Man, I was born Catholic. I'm baptized.
I'm I always believed in you.
Going somewhere good. Going somewhere good.
Me, not so much.
Yeah.
But lyrically, I've really kind of just adopted that more anti-Christian, satanic philosophy.
Yeah.
It's been able to just be proud of that and kind of express that view that I've never been able to do before. So, and I'm not afraid to do it now. Whereas before it was like, I didn't want to affect the other members of my band.
Yeah.
My philosophy.
Have you taken any heat from any local, have you taken any heat from your lyrics as far as being anti-Christian? Have you taken any heat from
the worst we've ever taken heat was when we were recording Someone from the Void. We did the Lunar Death single, and we had Lunar Death out in early to mid February 2020. So we were on Reverb Nation, and Reverb Nation has this thing where you can upload a song, and you have a whole bunch of people give you feedback.
I've done that with some of my music.
So I've done it a couple times with Lunar Death. Once was the rock and metal. There are times I decided I'm just going to be a complete shithead, and I'm going to put us down as Christian. So I submitted Lunar Death as a Christian rock song, and you got so much heat from it.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I figured, you know what?
We're the devil, we tricked you. That's what we're supposed to do.
Well, it wasn't exactly what you had in mind when we said worship music.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that was probably the worst that we ever got was, you guys aren't Christian. It's like, no, we're not. But actually, we've had occasional comments where someone will look at us on our Facebook and comment, demon, evil. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
How did you know?
Right.
You should be like, angel, goody two shoes.
He doesn't like the darkness. He likes the light of Christ, and good for you. You do you.
Yeah. I've always I have like friends that are Christian, Catholic, and all this stuff. And my thing was like, I always just say I'm anti-organized religion in the sense that if you're a Christian, but it's like, whatever you believe in your heart, if you have faith in something, which is what you should have, that's an emotion that humans have. But then Christian or religion came along and tried to control where your faith goes, and that's where we came with all these different religions and under one God. There's so many different gods. And
whereas before Europe was Christianized, we believed in multiple gods.
Yeah. And then someone came along and said, you know what, we need to control who and what they believe in with money and influence. And so that's why I believe that's how that shit was created. Because it seemed like, if Jesus was really a guy walking around, being all inclusive with everybody, saying that he loved everyone, whether you're evil or not, then I believe if that's what he was, and that's cool. But then he died, and all of a sudden they just started making up their own rules. Like, no, what Jesus really said was no gays, no this, no that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he even said, I didn't come for with peace, but with a sword. And I think it was the book of Luke or the book of Matthew where Jesus even said, I command you to raise your swords, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and get one. Christianity has always been a warmongering, conquering and invading religion. And I mean, the Roman Empire is proof. You've got it was some archbishop that was going on about evil always preaches tolerance until they become the majority, but that was the same thing as Christianity in the Roman Empire. So you've got the Christians before 310 AD going, please stop feeding us to the lions. We need to be tolerated. Please stop persecuting us. We don't want to be martyrs. Christianity after 3 AD, when it becomes the state religion of the Roman Empire. So all your pagan beliefs are going to be destroyed. We're going to kill anybody that we catch in the temples. We're going to burn the temples down, and whatever temples that we can't burn down, we'll convert into churches.
Yeah, I always say it's man's biggest flaw is organized religion. I mean, look at all the wars and all the deaths it's caused. You don't see Satanists going around freaking like causing all this shit. It's like
No.
the stuff that we're accused of actually doing. We don't do it. Like it's all these like people who are supposedly believe in God is killing people and
quite frankly, the most evil people on this
invading
planet
lands and shit.
are the ones who have accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
And when we look at guys like David Koresh and all those like those like cult leaders and shit, they all pretend to be Jesus Christ or something in order to get their way with women or children or whatever they do. And you'll see Satanists doing that, but devil worshippers, they're responsible for this heavy metal and
spirituality for you. It should be individual.
Exactly.
Like
It's a very personal thing.
What you believe in is personal to you. Your relationship with God or whatever you believe in is going to be different than my relation. Same as like a relationship with a woman.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
very true.
But going back to your question about like influences, so lyrically, yes, obviously pro Satan, anti-Christian. But I also adopt a lot of like my personal feelings into stuff. It's a cathartic kind of release,
I bet.
touch on subjects of death and suicide, that kind of stuff. We all can relate to loss. But in terms of like musical influences, we're a black metal band. We're gonna say the obvious. Mayhem.
You guys have like the similar influences as far as bands, like.
Yeah, I would say Satyricon is a big influence.
Satyricon is
I could hear that. Yeah.
Oddly enough, like we've listened to Cradle of Filth forever, but like we don't listen to them regularly, but we still find like a lot of their like the guitar runs, especially, is really influential on the way we write our music. For me, I mean, like these tattoos is an Emperor tattoo.
Emperor. Yeah, can never go wrong with Emperor.
That's like my go-to band for me for black metal is Emperor. That's the whole reason why I even picked up a guitar in the first place.
We share a mutual love for the band Uwada, right? Is that how you say their name, Uwada? Yeah.
I believe they're from Portland, are they not?
Yeah. Took me a while to even like when I first discovered them, like about 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, oh, this video's fucking badass. And maybe it wasn't, but a year later, I realized that they were from Portland. I found out, I was like, holy shit, this band's from Portland. Like, I don't know what they look like. I probably shopped with them at Trader Joe's and don't even know it. It's like, I see a guy working at the gas station. He's like a long-haired dude, like he looks like he's in the black metal. And I was like, I wonder if he's in Uwada, because Uwada, they can't be like making that much money. They must be still working like, this was like 3 or 4 years ago. They're probably still working like day jobs, but they just
probably, especially during the pandemic too, right? Like they weren't touring, so I'm sure that they were probably working real jobs. But my old band opened for them on their first tour. That's how I remember
you said that. Did you get to meet them and talk to them out?
Oh yeah.
So you know what they look like and stuff? Are they like that? Are they like totally? Are they the kind of band that's like how Kiss used to be? Like they don't want nobody to see what they look like, and if you do know what they look like,
no, like when they're walking around, they're not wearing their cloaks and stuff. You know, they're regular dudes. I would say one of them probably looks very similar to you. So
yeah. I was just wondering if that's their angle. Like, do they meet? Are they purposely trying to keep their real look out of the public though? Because it seems like the only people that really see them are the ones who do go see them live or maybe backstage with them or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I never see no photographs of them like in magazines or anything without their.
No, you'd always see them with like their hands over their face or like their cloaks and stuff.
Because I like that. Because I love it. Because I hated when Kiss took their makeup off. I was like, well, then there goes the mystique. And then when Ghost had to like. Take all their stuff off and revealed Tobias. I was like, oh, there goes the mystique. So I don't really want to know what Uwada looks like, but at some point I'll probably find out. It's like,
if you go to a show, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I know I miss them every time they freaking came, man. Like they came just like a couple months back, and I had to miss because I had to work on the same night. Damn day job. So you guys have a pretty good catalog of music. I mean, you guys, your first album was an EP in 2020 called "Just Darkness, My Desire."
Yeah, it was like a demo, kind of like our first bit of rehashed material from like the old days, I would say. But
it sounded good. I mean, I was listening on Spotify
from the old days.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had "Summon from the Void," which is 2021.
Yep.
Then you had like a single called "Bog Burial."
Bog Burial.
Yeah, we tried early on to release, like before that first album full length came out, we tried to release like a few different little singles here and there just to kind of get some interest.
Yeah,
like we did Bog Burial and we did Lunar Death. And actually, if you look at the Lunar Death single, it actually has a cover song on that by Satyricon.
Okay. I don't know if I saw that. I must have missed that. I was looking through your catalog on Spotify, and I pulled up like just the album cover. Like, okay, there's like the EP right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then we got this is summon
That's
The
from
full
the
length.
summon from the void, and then this was the bog burial. I remember when you guys were promote that on Facebook, and then you had this one here. That's a cool.
Oh, yeah.
That was our response to the 215 bodies of children found in a former residential school.
Oh
Yeah.
damn! Oh, my girlfriend was telling me about that. She was saying about about how the residential schools and the natives and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that was like our answer to that, kind of like, and after that, we discovered they found more and more bodies,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
like kind of just, I don't know. I mean, the church was so involved in that
Mhm.
whole catastrophe, and we just
Yeah.
that was kind of our way to say, hey, we stand with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching a show. There's a TV series called 1812. It's like it's a kind of a spinoff of the Yellowstone series, and
Yeah.
and then from the year 1812, and in that they do have like the residential school. They have these like native girls getting abused by this nun, and the fucking one chick, the one native girl, she just fucking like escaped, like she killed the nun and escaped. Now they're trying to hunt her down. So I'm waiting for season 2 to come out, but because of that strike that happened, we're not going to see it till like next year sometime.
And with the residential school system, it was basically Christianity's way of the natives in America basically wiping their culture out, because what better way to do it than to grab a bunch of kids, take them away from their families, teach them how to speak like the Christians, teach them about the Bible.
Yeah.
And when they came back, they couldn't even communicate with their families. So it was that, and not to mention all the trauma that's been inflicted on those kids for generations.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's some fucked up shit. I mean, I thought Catholic school was bad, but fuck, you hear about that shit. It's like,
that was basically when Nico and I wrote that song. That was basically when our message to the Aboriginal population in Canada, basically saying, we are not your enemy.
Yeah.
These people are your enemy.
Yeah.
What they've done to you, they've done to us as well.
Yeah. And so, and how long did that happen? Like, go on for like when did it actually end? Like, was it in like
only
the
recently?
mid-90s.
Yeah,
really?
only recently.
Like, how do they get away with that shit? Fuck.
Right? I mean, yeah,
It's horrible.
That's crazy.
Well, that's why you got to talk about shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't talk about it,
did they do any kind of like major busts, like rounding up anybody that was responsible for those errors? Like how they?
No, I think they covered it up.
Oh, it's totally covered. Yeah, like our government covered it up for so long.
Who's your main government? Like, it's Trudeau, right? Trudeau's like your main.
What a joke.
Does he like run the whole entire country of Canada? Because like, that's a big ass fucking place to be. Just
it was like
one man in charge.
It was countrywide issue. So, but I mean, that's part of our history. Much
how
like
did he get elected? Just by his looks or something? Because all the women like him.
Legalized marijuana.
Get marijuana, and then they get stoned. Like, yeah, he's a hot looking dude, man.
Everything else, I wanted nothing to do with. But I mean, quite frankly, like legalizing cannabis is probably the smartest thing anyone could do.
Yeah,
and it's quite frankly, I don't personally smoke cannabis, but I personally have believed for many years that it should be legal because
me too.
At least at that point, you know where it's coming from. You know it's not to kill you.
Yeah.
And you're not making a bunch of criminals rich.
Exactly. Now, do you guys have like a fentanyl crisis there too? Because we have that here in the States, and even getting the marijuana, like we're me being an alcohol drug counselor, the lab that we do our P tests through, they were giving me all these stats, and they said that marijuana was the number one drug that was being laced with fentanyl. I was like, really? I thought for sure it would be meth or cocaine or something, or heroin.
Yeah, fentanyl's like, I don't know, man, it's crazy. Like, because I work in the medical field, so we see that shit all the time. Like, it's crazy how easily accessible that is to anybody.
Yeah,
really.
And I know like Oxy-80s was a big drug on the reservations there. My girlfriend, being on the reservation, she's lost so many friends and cousins and relatives just overdosing on that shit. It's like crazy.
The only reason that stuff is illegal is because it's profitable that way.
You
make something like that legal, you take away the profit, and it's the only reason. And politicians make more money, and they profit from drugs being illegal than they do from drugs being legal.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. Now, what about you guys as far as being in a band together? And did you guys ever have any drug issues or anything, or was it more just casual? Like, do you drink at all or anything? Or
we both drink. I mean, I smoke weed regularly, but it's not something that controls our lives.
That's
like,
good. Yeah, so you never fell down that trap.
It's a casual thing, right? Exactly. Like, you'll have a couple beers at a show or
That's
whatever. Nothing crazy. Like, I mean, obviously we've seen all that shit. Both of us have been playing music for fucking well over 20 years. So But yeah, it's not something we got involved with. For us, it's always about the music. So
Yeah, that's how it should always be. That's how it started out with me. Like, it's got to be about the music, but then I just got too much into the partying and the drugs and the
Actually, one drummer that we
took me
prospected,
down.
he had some issues, but he got clean, and I think he's about 21 to 23 years sober. Just fantastic drummer, and I prospected him a while ago, and when I prospected him, he said, "Well, is this a party band?" I said, "No, I'm here to play. I'm not here to get stupid. If I want to get stupid, I can just go. I don't need to bring my guitar with me."
yeah.
Makes sense.
There's more things in the world that are better than drugs and alcohol. I mean,
Exactly.
like,
The music.
if you kick it, I commend you, because it's not an easy thing to kick and to stay sober. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it took me like 20-something years to figure it out. Like, oh, you mean I have to actually be honest with myself to do this shit? I have to actually care about that I want to live. Like,
With me, I usually have no compassion whatsoever for anyone who is addicted and uses, especially when it comes to them stealing from their friends and family.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they actually decide that they're going to do the work to get clean, I will support them 100%.
Yeah, I was there. I was one of those guys. You become something you never thought you would. Like, I was stealing money from my ex-wife and just whatever I could. I was pawning shit out of the house just to get my fix. And it destroyed my marriage. I mean, basically nuked that whole marriage. And so I had to really dig deep and say, okay, that's not the person that you were born. That's not the person that you were before you started getting into all this crazy shit. And I had to dig that shit out. And now I can't ever see myself going back to that or living like that.
Either, because part of the issue with AA is the first step is they tell you that you're powerless to do something about it, and you have to turn to a higher power, which is fine. I mean, but at the same time, you can turn to that higher power, but you have to do the work.
Yeah, you have to do the work. That's why I never got into the AA thing. I tried to do AA a few times, and a lot of my clients were like, "Hey, what's AA?" And it's like, "Hey, if it's for you, it's for you. It wasn't for me." Even my counselor told me, she's like, "You know what? Whatever you're doing to stay sober, you hit your 30-day mark. Keep doing what you're doing. That's your program." I go, "Yeah, well, my program is me waking up every morning saying that, telling that little voice in the head that, no, I'm not going to use today, and I'm not going to drink. I'm going to go to bed sober, and I'm going to fucking beat your ass. And I'm going to wake up the next day and do it again." And I told myself that every day for 30, 60 days. I hit that 90, and just the more 30 days I got under my belt, the easier it got. And when my counselor told me,
how many years sober are you now?
So I'll be 12 years in December 23rd.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I remember my counselor, she said, like, just get that 30 days. Just get that first 30 days. After that, it gets easier. And I go, really? It doesn't get easier. So yeah, it does. I go, okay, well, let me try it. It sounded like a challenge, So and she was right. It just got easier and easier.
You make a game out of it. You just keep pushing yourself.
Yeah, it's all about that. You've got the will. My grandmother always said, where there's a will, there's a way. And if you have that will, you'll find the way, So
definitely. Yep.
Now, as far as like collaborating on music between you guys, like how does that work when it comes to writing a song? Let's say and we'll get to your new album. I know you guys are promoting this album. This you guys just released. Am I saying it right? Irminsul. Irminsul. What is that? What does that mean?
So Irminsul was it was a pillar in Norse and Germanic paganism, and it would also represented the sacred trees, which were essentially pillars. And the pagans in pre-Christian Europe were believed firmly that these pillars would hold the world up, and there were sacred forests. So what happened was when Charlemagne in the 8th or 9th century AD converted to Christianity, what he did was he went into the what's now Germany. He basically killed he started cutting down these sacred trees, and he slaughtered anybody who tried to stop him.
Oh, wow.
And not only did they cut down all these sacred trees, but they used the wood to build their churches.
Yeah.
And with the churches, they didn't necessarily build them near the sacred sites, but on top of them, so that you couldn't actually go back with your pagan beliefs. It was the same thing what they did with the Roman Empire, where they actually closed off those old temples, and the ones that they didn't close down, they raised, and the ones that they couldn't raise, they turned into churches. So you couldn't actually go back and practice your belief system.
Wow.
And all the elders in the pagans tribes, they were all slaughtered so that they couldn't perpetuate that old belief system, and
Yeah.
it was easier to instill Christianity.
Yeah.
You like a lot of history. I bet you like you are you a history buff? Because you seem
Big
like
time.
yeah, that's cool.
I've got a whole shelf of books
Damn.
full of history books from different eras.
Mhm.
And I'm especially really big with the ancient Egyptian empire from 3000 BC, Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of things that the Egyptians did that we cannot fathom, which they had technology that
Yeah.
we don't know about because, I mean, eventually Egypt became part of the Roman Empire
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a Roman province, but it was highly influenced by the ancient Greeks, highly influenced by the ancient Romans.
Yeah.
So when you have the ancient Greeks that were able to calculate the circumference of the Earth
hmm
with far less than what we have access to today, they're able to calculate the distance to the moon.
Mhm.
They already knew that the Earth was round.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the moment that Christianity became the state religion, and well, at first it became with it being tolerated or legalized by
Yeah.
Congress. And it took about 70 years before it became the state religion under Theodosius. Once it became the state religion, they killed all those ancient philosophers. They burned their books.
Yeah.
Wow.
They razed the temples. There was a huge library in Alexandria that they just burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Everything inside it was burned.
Mhm.
So, and that's why it's hard to fathom now that ancient Egypt was so much more technologically advanced that than we could have ever imagined. Because when Christianity basically contributed, I'm not going to blame them solely for the demise of the Roman Empire, but
Yeah.
they contributed significantly to it. And
Mhm.
the Christians within the Roman Empire had every intention of destroying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only did they destroy the Roman Empire, they destroyed every Norse and Germanic tribe. And even with the Anglo-Saxons, they were not always Christian. They were pagan
Mhm.
until you started getting some bishops coming in from the Vatican and Rome
Mhm.
and basically slaughtering anybody that refused to convert.
Yeah.
And
Some
when
crazy
that
shit.
happened, it was plunged into the Dark Ages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything that we would have learned from the ancient Greeks was gone.
Wow.
Because anybody who knew about the stuff that they knew were killed. All the
Yeah.
books were burned.
I read too many comic books, man.
Yeah.
I need to read the shit you're reading, man. This fucking
Here I am hooked on Spider-Man. Fuck.
with Spider-Man, my Batman, my Spawn. Man, it's like but I do get a lot out of Spawn, but it's probably all made up shit.
Yeah. It's good though.
Now,
Todd
as far
McFarlane.
go ahead. I was gonna say, as far as your collaboration together, like when it comes to writing new songs, let's say for this new album, who brings the riffs? Like I know Demon, you said
No,
that.
we start with lyrics first.
Yeah.
Lyrics
Start
seems
with
to
the
be
lyrics
the
first. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's usually the catalyst to me writing. So
Yeah.
sometimes what'll happen is, I mean, we don't really focus on one specific method to our songwriting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Chances are I have a riff that I play that's kind of stuck in my head. I transcribe it into Guitar Pro, and then let's say I forget about it. Nico will show me some lyrics, and all of a sudden that riff that I forgot about that's in Guitar Pro will be playing in my head as I'm
Yeah.
reading the lyrics.
Yeah.
And that's how On Death's Wings came about, because initially, like, all I had initially was da 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 da
Yeah.
da
Uh-huh.
da da. That's all I had. And then I read On Death's Wings, and all of a sudden it was, huh.
Yeah, just go
Yeah.
to town on it.
Yeah, and with Ghost Machine, actually, the music came about when I had some serious writer's block. So I ended up driving on, I think it was Highway 93. So we're right deep in the Rocky Mountains.
Mhm.
It's middle of July, but it's only 5 degrees. There's dew out in the mountains.
Yeah.
There's fog in the mountains, and all I heard was dun 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 da 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 dun dun dun
Oh,
dun,
yeah.
and then da 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 dun 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 dun. The whole time I was there, so I transcribed it on Guitar Pro because I had my laptop with me,
Uh-huh.
and Nico had lyrics to a song called Ghost Machine,
Okay.
and I thought, and I heard that riff playing in the back of my head as I'm reading his lyrics. Sometimes what'll happen is there'll there will be other times where you have a song like Hell Icon where Nico's already written the lyrics and I've got nothing. So he'll say, okay, I need you this. Here's a song by Watain, for example, that I want the song to sound similar to.
Like in that mood. Yeah.
So I might play around on the guitar and think of something. But so literally when we wrote Hell Icon was and then all of a sudden as I'm reading his lyrics and next thing you know it's and it just fell together.
Nice.
I usually I don't like to rely on a specific formula.
Yeah, me too.
With Someone from the Void, all I had was one riff when that song started.
Yeah.
And it was just basically da 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 dun 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 dun. So and then after a while I kind of expanded on that riff, played different versions of it, and then next thing you know, he wrote lyrics called Summon from the Void, and I kind of tailored the music to his lyrics.
Oh, cool.
Actually, the one thing I'm really proud of with that song was so a lot of times when we track vocals, we don't necessarily have any one way of doing that. So it was at that really fast part before it goes to that bridge, and when so we were doing the vocal take, and I told Nico, okay, just stop it, Summon from the Void, and then it got to that slow part, and I basically just cued him in. I didn't actually tell him when I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I just said, look at me. I will give you a count, and next thing you know, the time came and he just belted out, total fucking destruction. And it just turned out perfect. So,
nice.
It's a lot of
similar how I do like a guitar riff will go in my head and like I'll come up with a riff and then I construct the rest in my head, and it's like last night I have a song I'm working on. It's like it just goes over and like an earworm in my head to I wake up in the morning. I'm thinking I just want to fucking throw my guitar through the wind because it's just going over and over and over. But at the same time, I'm telling myself, well, that's what it needs to do in order for you to. Because I love the part about songwriting is putting it all together like a puzzle, like what's going to be the arrangements of it. I love coming up with riffs and everything, but it's the arrangement part that I get off on. I'm like, okay, what part is going to go where? It's like a puzzle.
So nicely, because there have been songs where, like Summon from the Void, for example, just literally I started with one riff, and then next thing you know, it's a 7-minute long song.
Yeah, sometimes they just write themselves. Yeah,
and there are other times where Nico would send me lyrics, and I'd literally just sledgehammer the crap out of that song just to try to make it work, and then after a while I have to abandon it because it's not going to be my best work.
Yeah.
And granted, they're still on the back burner, and who knows, I might read those lyrics again and be like, have something completely different, and or I might have a riff that's kind of in the back burner somewhere that maybe another riff will work better with this song.
That's the beauty of it, huh?
Our back catalog of music is just like, I mean, I feel like we're always like steps ahead of ourselves. This album that we just put out, we had written most of it already while we were still writing Summon from the Void. So like, it's kind of crazy how like music just, I don't know, it infiltrates your brain, and then you just kind of like, sometimes you forget about it for a bit and it comes back. Or it's I don't know.
And on that
weird process.
Actually, pandemic where we weren't allowed to get together. So there were times where I'd just be sitting and writing riffs, and Nico would be sitting and writing lyrics, and he'd send me stuff, and I'd send him riffs, and next you know, we're not even finished recording Someone from the Void before Irminsul's out and ready. I mean, we were talking about Irminsul before Someone was ready to be released. And, we had one guy prospected to be a session player for bass, and so initially I had him do bass lines for Summon from the Void. So in that one little in that small part, I had the chords droning, and I was trying to build tension. And of course, this is a person who had to go, blah, 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 look at me, I can play all over the fretboard. Well, you're not actually playing anything. So he did that, and he just completely ruined the tension of it. So it's kind of my first thing is like, do we really want this guy? So give him another chance. So we had so I had him read do the bass lines were Rain Down Hellfire from Asgard. And so with that particular song, I kept the bass simple for a reason, because it's a very high energy song and there's a lot of intricate guitar parts. So I really need the bass to just kind of tie everything together.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is if the bass lines are simple.
Mhm.
And he kept doing things. He wasn't even playing in the right key. And after a while, I just said, you know what? I'm
like
done.
tone deaf and shit.
Because
Really?
they're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah. On that note, let's check out a song from the new album. This is from Ermin Saul, if I'm saying that right. Hell Icon. Let's check it out. Good breakdown right there.
The Virgin statue, coated in glossy black, she will cry tears of pain. Her influence will suffocate the layers of pain. Hold her false power at bay. She will be in
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Stellar musicianship as well. I mean, and your vocals are just fucking like out there, man. It's like hell yeah, it's like the brutal.
You try to
shit.
hold those strings.
Actually, that was a bastard to record in the studio, but
Yeah.
it was something where I had to persist through it. I think it took several hours to actually record all the guitars on that
Yeah.
until I could actually get it to sound good.
And how are you like? How are you? Because I know you say you program the drums. So how do you do that? Do you do those? Do you do those along with your riffs? Like, are you starting with like sort of the? 'Cause that's one thing I struggle with is trying to figure out how to do drums myself. That's why I always just get people to do drums for me. But
Depends on
like
the
these,
song.
like when you're writing the song or the riff, are you playing to a metronome first and then just work up the?
Yeah, so I always play. I cannot play without a metronome.
Okay.
So I use Easy Drummer for.
Yeah, I just saw that. Like someone was advertising it. I was looking. I was like thinking about buying that. For
a
myself.
lot of times with a lot of, like with Hell Icon, for example, there's a lot of tremolo picking, so there's a lot of on the bass drum. So there's going to be a lot of blast beats, and then usually I'll throw in a fill or two to kind of end that riff and start into the next part of the song.
Okay.
So at least when I'm playing, I at least know where to come in.
Yeah.
And so right now, like at the time, I was using Cubase Elements 9, so
Yeah.
I had the drummer as a plugin. I actually had all the parts of the drum tracks completely split out to their individual parts.
Okay.
So at least at that point, I could better control the panning. I could better control the extended compression on each individual part, or EQ each individual part.
Yeah. You know your shit, man. Hell yeah.
He definitely does. He's like, honestly, like, you know, he doesn't get enough fucking credit. He's like the mad fucking genius for real.
Yeah.
Any like, yeah, I can play. I've been playing guitar for 20 years. Been playing music in band, you know, and like when it comes to drum stuff, like he does look to me a lot for that. Even though I'm not a drummer, but it's like we've studied this kind of music for our whole lives, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you kind of try to implement like what other bands have done and different ideas of like how a structure should be in terms of like a you know, like a blast beat or a double kick part. I mean, this guy's fucking like the amount of knowledge that he has in terms of musicality and just the programming and stuff is just like beyond me. Like
What's the trajectory for the Darkness My Desire? Are you guys looking to get on a label? Because I could totally see this on like Relapse Records or Seasons of Mist.
We kind of have our own independent label that so we pay for all the expenses on we pay for the membership on DistroKid. We pay for we have our own
try to keep it in-house as much as we can.
Yeah, so
that's what I do too.
It's all done under our own label, Demonic Possession Records.
Yeah. So there's really no desire to like try to get to that like so you could be on like Season of Mist or like.
So this band initially, like back in the day, was initially just a side project from my main band, and then we kind of parted ways for a while and came back together, and it was under the guidance of we don't really want to tour. Like we want to play maybe a few shows here and there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, have you guys thought about playing out live, or have you done that? Like, and I guess how would you do it? Like, would you get a drummer, or would you just use a drum?
We'd have to employ some professionals and people who can actually play the music.
That's cool. So no backing tracks. Just kidding.
No,
no lip syncing.
We don't need a laptop, okay?
Yeah, we don't need a laptop, man.
The only other exception to that is, let's say with Lunar Death, I've written kind of a more MIDI thing, so it's kind of like an orchestrated version of the main riff of Lunar Death. So that's just strictly to introduce the song and introduce our live set. That's the extent of how we'd ever tackle.
And that's how the backing track should always just be like, you know, if it's like a keyboard or whatever, you're not going to bring a keyboard player with you on every show, or you know, or orchestra. You know, that's where backing tracks are cool with, you know, but as far as like, you know, faking the vocals or faking the guitars and faking the drums, and you know, I guess I mean the backing tracks for drums are okay if you're that kind of a band. If you're an industrial band and have those kind of drums, then it's okay. It'd be great if you could do them on real drums as well, you know.
Or I actually had to do multiple tracks of Easy Drummer. So we've got the main Easy Drummer track, which is your main kit, and I had to do more of a Slipknot thing where I had to basically just rely solely on that bigger floor tom and I had to incorporate all sorts of delay to kind of make it work and
Okay. Yeah.
put a bunch of reverb to
There's
make it sound big.
definitely songs that we would not ever be able to replicate live,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
based on how many different guitar tracks and shit.
Now, like in your guys' former bands, like did you guys ever play live a lot? Like, do you have like a lot of live experience?
Yeah,
as
we
far as being on
played
stage?
for 3 years
Yeah.
live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we played a
Cool.
lot. It was 4 of us, so it
Okay.
was he played
Yeah.
all guitar and I was still just vocalist. But
Mhm.
my other band was like it was a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
And
And
then
was it like a lot of clubs to play around there, or was it just like was there a lot of cool venues to play, or did you guys have like a pretty good following at the time? Or
I mean, with my old band, we toured all over the place. So,
okay, yeah.
but with Darkness, yeah, we played mostly local stuff,
Yeah.
just to kind of,
Yeah.
there's a few venues here that cater to
Yeah.
this type of music.
Yeah,
To do like
and,
a black metal coffee house, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Real intimate, you know.
and, what I've done
Coffee.
was I had one project under Catastrophe 6, which was basically my first foray into a real studio, which so I mean it costs like several grand to record that album, which has somewhat seen the light of day, but at the same time you start to it was basically I was the John Schaefer of that band, whatever happened on January 6th aside.
Yeah.
So basically, I would go in. I'd be the kind of the stable person in any lineup. I'd have a bass player. I'd have another guitar player. I'd have a drummer. I've had the bass player try to bring in a whole bunch of different vocalists. I'm not the strongest singer in the world, but only I can. I've been writing all the lyrics in Catastrophe 6, and the only person who can do the vocals expressively and mean them is me. I can't just bring someone else off the street to sing stuff that I've written. And I've tried that, it's failed. And so I've ended up playing in a grindcore band as a bass player in 6.
Okay.
Played in I guess you can call it doom metal band called Vectivus. There's another local band in Calgary that was more of a thrashy metalcore, Vexarity.
Yeah.
Well, how I got into with Vexarity was we were on the same bill when I was playing with 6 for like a Mosh Lotto, I believe it was called. So we finished our set. We were the second one up. Vexarity was the next one up. The guitarist in Vexarity says, "Yeah, so we're losing our bass player. We kind of want you to come join us." Okay, cool. About a year later, he that bass player decided he wanted his position back, and at that point, Vexarity was too much. So I said, "You know what? If you want my position, just take it."
Yeah.
The drummer quit because he had to move to Nova Scotia. The vocalist quit because he was moving to Vancouver Island. And at that point, it's like we're not really doing anything. We're not getting together and writing. We're not keeping sharp with the songs that we've got now. So I mean, the bass player wants his old job back. He can have it. I briefly, I had a couple of tenures in a band called Terminal Human Condition, or THC.
Okay.
So then the first time I joined THC, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and I was, of course, when the pandemic started, I went through a serious depression.
Yeah.
It got to a point where I did one practice with them in 2020 where I had the lead vocalist say, "Hey, so the guys are concerned that you're not putting forth your best effort." And I said, "You know what? I can't deal with this because, I mean, it's something where if I'm getting scrutinized for my performance, I mean, granted, I've heard my performance on that practice. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But that was because when we were all shut down, I didn't pick up any of my instruments. And then right around 2026 disbanded. So, and quite frankly, at this point, I mean, I enjoyed playing in 6, but it was a long time coming. I was just done with it at that point. And Darkness, My Desire became my main focus.
Yeah.
And then
Nice.
I was asked to rejoin Terminal Human Condition last year, which is now reduced to rubble.
Oh yeah. So when it comes to like recording, like you guys are in the studio together, like who kind of plays the role of the producer and the engineer? Like, do you guys kind of produce yourself, and do you get the stuff out of like Nico? Like, Nico, you need to do that again. Is there any arguments that go on? Because me and my brother, we sling fists every now and then when we're recording together.
I mean, we always get along. There's no tension ever, but he's like, the whole point to Dark Is My Desire for both of us is to be the best that we can be.
Yeah.
And him as a producer, like, honestly, he's relentless. Like, he will push me to the points, like, that first album, like, you can hear parts of it. Like, I had a hernia at that time, and I was pushing myself to the point where I was like passing out and like needing to throw up. But he is like, no, you got to do, like, we have to have the best of the best. We don't want to sound like these shitty, like, necro sounding fucking black metal.
And with
like, do it again, do it again, do it again.
Actually, there have been times when
it's in my head.
All I Want Is For You to Suffer. You can definitely tell there's pain behind a lot of his vocals because he's literally screaming in pain. And there have been times where I'd say, "Oh, that was pretty good. Let's do it again." And I've had to say, "Okay, let's take 5" when he was in excruciating pain. And that's just how I produce. And it was the same thing when I brought in this bass player that I had from Catastrophe 6, where I said, "Okay, I need you to do. This is what I need you to do." It's like, and then I'll say, "Oh, that's not going to fit." "Oh, make it fit." It's like, nope, that's not the attitude that we're going to tolerate in this band. And as a producer, I'm the same with anybody. It doesn't matter if I'm inviting a band to play in my studio, and I'm going to scrutinize everything, and I'll say, "Okay, so I know this is what you're trying to do. This is what you need to sound like for the song to sound good," and I'll push, and then you can either. And the way I see it, you can either do one of two things. You can either step up and deliver, or step off. And unfortunately, with the bass player that we prospected to do session work for us in the last album, he wasn't following direction. So I just said, "You know what? You need to leave because we're done." And I mean, to his credit, the one of the reasons other than the pandemic that Someone from the Void took so long to release. We started recording that album in January 2020. It wasn't released until September 2021. So when we were basically told during the second wave of COVID, no indoor gatherings, period. The bass player, I actually put in new pickups in the guitar I was using to track our guitars. And to this bass player's credit, he said that I should just re-record all the songs that were recorded before I did that. And I'm glad I did that because the song sounds so much better.
Let's take a listen to that. Summon from the Void. I'll take a listen of a couple of minutes of it just so we can hear what you were going on at that time. You know, like this is like during the pandemic, and you're right. I dig that. That has a lot of like old school black metal sound to it. That's like that real shit, you know, like that this over processed shit you've been hearing lately from a lot of these newer bands.
But that's what we take from is like we worship on
the new stuff. It's like
bands, but we try to put a modern twist to it because you know, like, let's just face it, there's a lot of bands from like the early 90s and stuff that have that necro sound that just sound like total shit. Like great sounding, like they got great songs. If only you produced it a little better, it would be like that. And that's kind of we try to like just be the best that we can be and sound the best that we can be, because we do have a message and that, you know, and if you can't understand what's going on, then what the fuck is the point in even doing it?
I mean, no matter how you look at it, yes, our music is intense. It's very heavy. It might. I mean, we have a message, and how I approach the production is, we have a message. This songwriting's intense, the music's intense, lyrics are intense, but
Mhm.
we still want to make it palatable, and that's
Mhm.
where a lot of the bands that rely so heavily on the necro sound have really missed the mark. Is that
Yeah.
I mean, they could be giving a stellar performance. It doesn't have to be like Mozart or Beethoven or anything, but they can still do a really good, solid performance.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
by just filtering out a whole bunch of frequencies and making it sound like they're in a cave, it
Mhm.
really robs them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
of- and they'd probably get a bigger audience if their music was just a little more palatable.
Mhm. Very
I
true,
mean,
that-
granted, they probably don't want a bigger audience.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Power
Sometimes
to
they
them.
get too
But
big and you're too commercial, or it's
yeah,
like,
and I mean, like, we're not trying to aim to be commercial, but we're
yeah,
just
yeah.
we're proud of our music,
Mhm.
and we want it to sound as good as it can.
So that
Like,
was Cradle
it
of
doesn't
Filth. I
push
mean,
me to get
Cradle of
back
Filth
in,
got so big that all the black metal people started putting them down, saying, like,
right? And we don't care about that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you put me down.
Yeah.
We're on our own. Like,
we
we're
had
our
a,
own.
yeah, like our, my old band Will O Wisp, we got signed to an independent label, they were black metal label, and they were like, we were getting death threats from the black metal fans of that label, and we had
Yeah.
to leave, we had to split ways because they were calling us Cradle of Filth faggots and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm like, wow, and they were like giving death threats to us and to the guy that ran the label, and because they said that, they just didn't like Cradle of Filth, but yeah, they were a black metal label.
The only way I know how to deal with those threats is here's my address. Here's your plane ticket to Calgary. Here's a one-way ticket to
Yeah.
Calgary. Do not book a return flight
Yeah.
because you
They were literally saying that if we show up in their town to play a show, that they were going to bomb the place. I was like, holy shit! And this is like in the late '90s, where
Yeah.
they really had the
But that was
internet.
like how
Like,
the scene was back then,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
now I think it's a little more open.
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, like, if you sound good, people are gonna listen to you, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we want people to
Yeah.
listen to us.
Yeah,
So,
and you guys are primarily just all streaming, right? Like, do you guys do you have any physical music? And if not, like, do you
Well, we
plan
don't
on
have
putting anything out physically as far as
music or anything
the
tangible.
vinyl?
So you'd either have to stream it on Spotify. You can buy it on iTunes. You
Yeah.
can buy it on Google.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bandcamp,
I mean, in terms of, I mean, if we were getting like millions of streams on Spotify at that point, we'd be talking to distributors to get a more tangible product, whether it be vinyl, whether it be cassette tape,
Yeah.
CD.
yeah.
I mean, wherever there's their demand, but
I think we're gonna do a cassette run
Yeah.
for this album.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I've been getting back into collecting cassettes. I've been getting like a lot of black metal on cassette, and they've been sounding. I used to hate cassettes, because like you put in a thing and it eats it or whatever, or it sound all drops. The sound drops. But lately, the cassettes are however they're producing them, they sound really, really good.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a cheaper alternative.
Yeah,
to
I got the
buy it.
reissues of the first five Bathory albums on cassette. The reissues, and they sound phenomenal.
maybe we do one batch where we sign them, and then another batch where we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's always options.
Mhm.
There's stuff coming out.
Yeah.
And it's
coming
cheaper
down.
now to produce. Like you could CD like through disc makers. I was looking at them because I wanted to do some Death Cryptopia on CD and even my Eric stuff. And you could do 200 CDs for like $300, where it used to be like you had to order like 1,000 CDs for $2,000.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
do as
To order in
many.
bulk, like so.
Yeah, like you can do like a 50 tape run or something.
Yeah,
and
just
$150.
and just
If you sell them, great. If you don't, hey, now you got some memorabilia.
Mhm. Yeah, and the best thing too is that with Kickstarters and things, like I think that's what I want to do with when I do get to put out a full album. I want to do like a Kickstarter and get people like that way they can get the album, and we get some extra stuff along with it, and they're kind of funding the project,
Right.
Yeah, but they're actually buying the product, but
Exactly.
yeah, all kinds of possibilities out there with this.
Right.
Without telling me you guys' age, I know you guys are fairly young. I'm 55 and I'm younger. Without telling me your age, Chris, when you were in high school, what was the big popular band as far as metal or pop or whatever? Like,
So when I was in high school,
in your senior year,
I actually have a high school playlist from 99 to 2004 on my Spotify. So in that playlist, there's a lot of Mudvayne. There's there's Slipknot. There's Disturbed. There's System of a Down. I mean, those are just the songs from that era. And that playlist was predominantly songs that were released in that era. In terms of were those the only bands I was listening to at that time? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about I listened to a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s in high school, and a lot of stuff I've been listening to was stuff from the late 90s. And to put it in perspective, I graduated in 2004, which is why the playlist says 99 to 2004.
Yeah. So you're a class of 2004. So I'm class of 1986. So like the bands that were big then were like, you know, the Queensrÿche, Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and, you know, things like that, you know. And always,
Definitely
yeah.
the new metal age.
Yeah. What about you? What about you, Nico? What was what was your class, Nico? Like what senior year?
I graduated in 2001, so
Okay.
yeah, most of the music I listened to growing up in obviously the 90s was for me music.
Yeah.
You know, grunge was big, and then when I discovered metal, it was like definitely a lot of new metal stuff
Yeah.
for myself. And I had always had aspirations, even as a young vocalist, to kind of mix things like Korn and Slipknot with like People of Filth and stuff like that. So
yeah, I like Korn. There's
those are still influences.
a lot of new metal bands I just couldn't get into, and they were actually what drove me into listening to more underground stuff. Because around the '90s was when I was just like, okay, I need to search for that European death metal and all this, you know, like the bands like Mayhem were coming out.
I went through a lot of like emotional stuff in high school. So like bands like Korn and Slipknot, you know, they were digestible to me, but they were also speaking on an emotional level in terms of that. Like I wasn't really a musician, so for me it was listening to the lyrics and relating to that kind of stuff. But
I love Korn. I like Korn and Slipknot. Matter of fact, I've seen Korn before they were Korn. I used to see them play in LA. They were called LAPD. And they used to have a singer that was like, he was dressed in a McDonald's outfit. And he was kind of a punk rock looking dude, and he would like be all pissed off at the audience and shit. I'd be like, this guy looks like a fucking asshole, man. But they didn't know that later on become Korn. You know?
You got to be different, especially in a local scene like that. Stand out, right?
Well, actually, I discovered Metallica when Load first came out. So for me, it was just like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool because I was 10 at the time. And then I started tumbling down this rabbit hole of, Metallica's Black Album. Okay, this sounds a little heavier. And then Brawl, and then so I skipped Master of Puppets initially. I know, sacrilege. So I went to Ride the Lightning. I was like, oh, okay, now we're talking. So from there, I finally got into Master of Puppets. And I was like, oh, even better. And then of course, I
kill them all. I always trip on that because it's like you discovered Metallica at Load, and then you had to go backwards to love their music. I discovered them at like Ride the Lightning, and as they grew further, I started hating them more as they got to Load. I was like, oh, I can't listen to Metallica no more. You know, so.
And this was actually the time I started playing bass, and I started playing bass because of Cliff Burton, and then at the time, I didn't know that he died after Master of Puppets. So I was like, why would they take a kick-ass bass player like Cliff Burton and replace him with Jason Newsted? No disrespect to him by any means, but I mean, no matter how you look at it, Jason Newsted could never fill Cliff Burton's shoes.
And, I remember when that happened. I was like,
I took the bass guitar in the first place at 10, and then it expanded to guitar.
Yeah, I remember when Cliff Burton died. Like my drummer, he wrote a letter to like his mom, and you know, I guess they were living in San Francisco, and we got a letter back, you know, and from the mom, and we're like, holy shit, this is Cliff Burton's mom. She was thanking our drummer for his kind words and all that stuff like that, because we were heartbroken, man. Like we were still in high school, and you know that happened. I mean, Metallica was like the biggest thing for us, but no, I'm not saying I don't like Load and Reload. I had to actually go back and listen to those records, but at the time when they were coming out, I was like, no way, I can't listen to this. But I listen to them now, and I'm like, wow, these are actually good albums. You know, pretty good stuff.
They are good albums.
They're just really Metallica albums.
No,
it's just with
but Metallica can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
that's
at this point.
I mean,
I like the new album. I think the new album's really good.
There weren't really. It's like Megadeth's Risks, where it's a good album, but it's not a Megadeth album. It's something completely different. They just slapped the Megadeth label on it.
Oh yeah, very true.
And after a while, it's just like, well, they're trying to brand it as Megadeth, but it's not Megadeth. But it's not Megadeth.
Yeah. I thought the last album was pretty good for Megadeth, but I kind of grew tired of it a little bit. But I feel like Metallica's new album, I'm still into it. Like when Hardwired came out, I liked it for the first couple of months, and I got kind of bored of it. And I don't know because it was too long or something, but I'm listening to 72 Seasons. I put it on, and it still sounds fresh, and I love the directions that they went on it. Even though, like, you know, I mean, you got to appreciate the fact that they're still doing that kind of music.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't see them live on this tour, but I got to see them when they live streamed into the movie theater. And that was actually really cool.
So one thing I'll say about 72 Seasons is that album could have sounded so much better if the mixing engineer just told Lars Ulrich to fuck off and
yeah.
And then because part of the issue with a lot of especially the more recent albums, is that you get someone like it's the whole And Justice for All thing where you get Lars Ulrich going into the control room, like, oh no, my drums need to sound. You need to use this EQ with my snare, and it has to sound this way, and it has to sound that way, and then Hetfield going, oh well, my rhythm guitar has to sound like this, but after a while, it's just like, let the mixing engineer do his job or her job, whoever it is.
Yeah. Demon, you seem to know a lot about production, obviously, and everything. Do you actually produce any local bands or any artists there on the side?
Yet. I'm into it, and part of the issue is I'm very selective of the people that I'm willing to work with, because there are a lot of local bands in Calgary scene where it's the people that. I mean, I run my studio out of my basement, so a lot of it is, do I really want to bring these people into my house with, let's say, a young 15, 16-month-old son? And the answer is no, I will not work with them. If the answer is yes, absolutely. And I'm very selective with the people that I work with. It's not necessarily something that I'm looking to do full-time, but I'm work with anyone who's willing to do the work.
Yeah, you can probably make some good money off of doing that kind of stuff. But
I offer my services to a handful of bands in Calgary.
That's cool.
And there was one in particular, I'm not going to say who it is, where the front woman was basically complaining about the drama with her studio, and all she had to do was like track her vocals and get the final the songs mixed. And I sent her a message and said, listen, you need to come to my studio. I will track your vocals. I will make you sound good. And bring me your tracks. I will mix them for you, and I will make you sound phenomenal. And I mean, you're at this level now, which is really respectable. I mean, they've got a good social media following. I want to get you up here.
Yeah.
And that's basically my vision for any band that I would ever work with, or any musician I would work with.
Yeah, you want them to shoot really high, because that way, at least if you come down, you're up there instead of always staying at high level for a goal.
And predominantly, I will work with a lot of singer-songwriters. So we're talking about people who kind of do the coffee house act, where it's they're kind of maybe playing and singing on the acoustic guitar. I will bring those people in, and it doesn't have to be metal. I'll work with rappers. I'll work with just rock musicians.
Yeah, I got a few like singer-songwriter type songs I've been writing like lately, and it's like, but I just don't have the lyrics for them. But it's like, eventually I might put out like a record like that or something, just to trip people out.
Frankly, I'd rather have like a singer-songwriter who sings and strums on an acoustic guitar on the weekends at a coffee house than some metal bands that we have in Calgary. And it's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily saying that they're bad. I'm not necessarily,
they're not Darkness My Desire, man.
Right?
There's only room for one. There's only room for one DMD.
Exactly.
Who came up with the name? Like, where'd you guys go? What does that name mean to you?
I did. Yeah, because back when I was in Just Stay Fucking Dead, and we had wanted to do a side project. I don't even know like the origin of it, other than it just was like, it would be like
it didn't come from like a novel or something you read.
Well, my desire is to have a band all about darkness. I'm like, oh, there you go. Darkness.
Actually, it happened to be a name of one of your old poems.
There you go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm always joking on Facebook about metalcore bands, how they always have like names that are like a song lyric would be the name of the band, But you're like you're one word less to where it doesn't sound like a metalcore band. Like if you would have been like Your Darkness My Desire,
3 words is the limit.
Yeah, 3 words is like the limit.
Back in the day, we had a song called Darkness My Desire, which you're probably never going to hear the recording of the original version, because to put it in perspective, the intro kind of sounded more like something from Black Sabbath, and then we basically scrapped that song when we were still together, and I came up with a new riff, and I thought, I'm going to reuse that title and reuse one riff from the old song. But I mean, the Darkness My Desire song that you hear on the EP is nothing like the song that we recorded as a demo years ago.
We were naive back in 2009.
We really were.
Now we're professional.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta sound like it, man. You gotta,
Semi-professional.
yeah.
Well,
Like I said,
part
I mean, even if you're not going for a major label, but I could see your music being on like a label like Seasons of Mystic, with those kind of
Right.
Yeah.
bands, and Relapse Records, which is good because that's what you want. Even though you're gonna stay on your own, but you want to shoot. You want your music to be at that level of like those bands that are on those labels.
I
You know,
want
like
our music when we're on a playlist on Spotify. You know, if
yeah.
we're on a playlist with other bands like Watain, Satyricon, shit
Mhm.
like that, I
Like, I
want
always
you to
tell-
be able to listen
yeah.
to that and phase into our music
Yeah.
and still be on the
That's
same
always been
level.
my mindset. I always tell people that too. Like when it comes to like songwriting advice or whatever, it's like even though you don't think you're gonna, even though you're probably not gonna have a number one song on the charts, whatever, but you got to write in that mind frame as if that's what you have to go for. That you have to like be in that
Yeah.
mind frame. Like this is like the best song ever. This is a song that I would listen to. This is a song that I would buy. That's how I try to write a song. Like I would try to write music that I would like to listen to, or like would
You know who
buy
listens
myself.
to our music the most?
Huh. Yeah.
Us.
Yeah, exactly.
All
That's
the
what you
time.
want. Because
That's
you
why-
can't because you can't please other people. People that try to write for other people, like, oh, I hope everyone likes this song when I write it. It's like you
I
just
mean,
can't
with,
gauge that.
our music, I actually try to. I don't necessarily try to go look at me. I'm such a good guitar player, or
Yeah,
oversimplify anything.
yeah,
I try to write music that fits the mood that I'm trying
exactly.
to. And a lot of what I do in the studio is try to build a mood. So if you listen to something like Lunar Death, where I mean, you get that little da 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 playing in the background until you hit the breakdown where it slows down and you just hear the bass.
Yeah,
I'm trying to set a mood. I'm trying to make it feel like you're in that circle as the ritual is taking place.
Mhm.
And when it starts speeding up again is when you're dealing with the after effects and the consequences of that ritual being performed, and like you basically sending the dogs of hell against your enemies. And that's why I sped the song up towards the end
Mhm.
and made it really heavy towards the end, was to kind of, and I'm trying to build a mood. So even with, let's say, a song like Ermin Soul, for example, there's going to be cleaner guitars on that song because I'm trying to build that piece of the way things were versus you get all these people like Charlemagne's armies coming in, slaughtering anyone who try to stop him as he's chopping down trees
yeah,
and
yeah.
burning sacred forests. And
Nice. On that note, before we wrap up this interview, I want to play one more song for the audience off the new album. This is called "On Death's Wings."
Yeah.
Summerstar on KG990 FM Radio. Check it out, a black metal song with a hook in it. Dun, 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 dun,
Where
dun,
the
dun.
riffs were recorded with a Telecaster.
Oh yeah, damn. If that really was, it's like, damn, you made me a fan of a Telecaster, which I never
Right?
was before.
Catch the Judas
Yeah,
Priest.
the drums are phenomenal sounding. Like, I'm gonna have to get you to make some drums for me, man. Shit. I can use a drum beat like that. But the guitars, like, what are you using for guitar gear? As far as are you using the VSTs or
like my signal chain? I'm just running a tube screamer
okay?
to my mixing console. At least at the time, I was using a mixing console.
Mm-hmm.
I've switched to an interface recently, and I'm just using like an impulse response for the guitars that came with the software.
Okay.
So I just took the meanest looking one and ran that as my app sim.
What guitar do you play, Chris?
So right now I've got an Epiphone Les Paul, which I've modified with the Black Winter pickups.
Okay, cool.
So that was the guitar I exclusively used in Summon from the Void. And with the Darkness of My Desire EP was that same guitar with the regular pickups that weren't as hot.
Mm-hmm.
So with this album, I've used that particular, like on the more face puncher songs, I've used the Epiphone Les Paul. On Cold Calculated Blasphemy, I use a Jackson 7-string with an EMG combo.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And with songs like On Death's Wings, on Wolf Howls at Midnight, and even Demon S, I'm using a Telecaster.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You weren't joking about the Telecaster. That's cool.
Oh, you wouldn't think it's,
Yeah.
but it has that perfect clean sounding
Nice.
tone.
Yeah.
And in terms of bass guitars, I've used several throughout the entire album. So the latest bass guitars that I use is depending on the song. So with the more like within Nature's Eyes, it kind of had more of a Rush feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to play with the Rickenbacker because Geddy Lee had one back in the day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Fender Jazz.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Those are always nice. The P bass or the Fender Jazz P. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And on the next album, any song that requires a 4-string bass, Fender Jazz.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you guys for doing this, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, and meeting Chris for the first time. I know me and Nick have been on Facebook forever. I'm just now with Christopher on Facebook, and we have to definitely stay in touch. And I want you guys to know that anytime you got something you want to promote or you got a new album coming out, a new song, just hit me up. I mean, we're gonna have you on the show again, and I like to make this a platform for you and everybody that wants to promote something. Or, I only charge $5,000. You guys will get the invoice. Just kidding. Start charging bands so it's $5,000 promotion fee.
Let's give you my MasterCard details at the end.
Which in US dollars it'll be only like But is there anything you guys want to promote, like that you guys got coming up? Anything that you guys any other new projects or anything, or new music that you're going to put out, like any new singles or anything, or just going to keep riding this record out till you get the new one out?
Right now, we're focusing heavily on this album right now, and then we do have a few little collabs coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, I've been asked to write some bars on a rap track, so see how that goes. We have some collab with a band called Self-Titled Album. I think they're from Utah. It's more of an industrial, but he's going to do some remixes. So we might actually come out with like a remix EP of a couple newer songs.
That'd be cool.
And then just different guest spots on some other people's stuff coming out eventually in the next year or so. But yeah, the focus right now is just to keep pushing this album and keep writing the next one while we're doing that simultaneously. So.
You already have the next one kind of in mind as far as like visualizing a little bit.
We've got a few songs written. We're still working on tons more.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I think the strategy we used for Irminsul was just kind of do enough songs to fill 45 minutes. We may change that number, we may not.
Okay.
But part of the issue is I've learned some new recording techniques to make the guitar sound heavier, which it's going to result in a much better end product. The downside, though, is it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah, but you know, hey, it's worth the wait, you know.
Absolutely.
Because it already sounds phenomenal. It is. So if you're making it sound even more phenomenal, then why not take a little bit more time?
The goal just to keep outdoing ourselves as much as we can.
I mean, as long as you're above ground, man, every day is a brand new day to create and just
it.
And no matter how you look at it, is if Irminsul sounds epic now, wait till the next one.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a brutal shit, man. I'm a fan. You made me a fan. I've always been a fan, but I'm a fan now. You know, we get to talk to you and really and really, I love just because I can listen to the music and really get into it. But what I love is what makes me love it more is when I'm able to talk to you guys or talk to any of the bands and get in there in deep about the tracks and like what goes on with the music, the writing process of it, because it just makes you appreciate it that much more. And,
we don't really have a writing process. We have a tendency of flying by the seat of our pants when it comes to writing.
And that's how it should be. There should be no rules. And when it comes to art and creativity, there are no rules. I always say, throw all the rules out the door. Like whatever. Like I know basic music theory, and people say, oh, what does this mean? Or your notes on your guitar. Like I don't even know my notes. It's like, well, I feel like I have to know my notes on my guitar. Like you got to know your lady. Like if you're with a woman, you got to know everything about her. So I try to do that with my guitar. But at the same time, when I'm writing a song, I put that shit down. I throw the theory and stuff out the door, man. It's just like
because how can you can't confine yourself by rules. I mean, that's how you live life. You got
to write with your heart. And then later on, you can figure out what you did. Like, I did a G sharp 5 flat add 9 chord or whatever. Like, oh wow, I didn't know I came up with that. How did I do that? Analyze it later.
That stuff it comes by accident, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly. Some of the best shit happens by accident too. Cool. All right, guys. It's been a pleasure to get you guys out of here, and I know you guys got some dinner to make, probably.
I've got a burrito to eat somewhere.
Any last words for your fans out there that you want them to know about you guys that they don't know already?
Keep it black metal.
Keep it black metal. Follow us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna post all the links.
I'm gonna put all this stuff for everyone listening to this and watching this right now. All the links are Spotify. They're all to where to listen to the music that's going to be on. Do you guys have like an actual website, or is it just pretty much the Facebook?
No, we're just using
a Facebook.
And the Facebook page. And
we haven't actually updated the Bandcamp since we released Summoned.
Yeah, I noticed that when I went to your Bandcamp, I didn't see a whole lot of the new stuff on there.
We'll be updating a lot of stuff. We'll be updating our merch site pretty soon here. I've been working.
Google Darkness My Desire, you'll find them all. Wherever you see them, that's where you'll find them. And on that note, I want everyone to be kind to each other. Be kind. I know the world's crazy right now. We got a lot of bullshit going on, but you know what? It's all about us being individually kind to ourselves and being kind to other people. Because if you're not good to yourself, you're no good to anyone else. Right. All right. So horns up.
Hills.
Peace out. Yeah.